Beast Wars episode 18, Spider's Game. This was another really fun episode, mostly because we got another Transformer, so I'm really excited about that. This is, as much as I love the ones that we have so far, this will be our fourth um, new Transformer, I guess. It's the best way to put it. And I gotta admit, I kind of like him the most. I didn't remember him, and the character's name is Inferno. And first of all, that's just a cool name. And it makes sense because Inferno is a Predacon that is based on fire ants. And I was like, that's actually a cool concept, and it makes sense his name would be Inferno. But the way it started off, and the reason it's called Spider's Game is because Tarantulas, being the sneaky one that he is, has this plan, and he sees a pod dropping onto the planet, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna use all my power. He gets rid of all the I keep doing that. He gets rid of all the Predacon satellite systems, so they don't know what's going on, and he destroys all the Maximal stuff, at least temporarily. He basically just jams everything, so no one knows that this pod is dropping, and his plan is to get to this pod and actually make another arachnid. And of course, before any of that stuff happens, Black Arachnia comes in and is like, oh, what are you doing? I found, your secret base. And, he freaks out at first, and then she's like, look, I didn't spend all this time trying to find your secret base just to shoot it out with you. I want to help you. And of course, she wants to team up with him so that they can destroy Megatron, and then I would assume, if that worked, she would have destroyed Tarantulas. But she's like, hey, I can help you. And he's like, alright, well, we'll get to this pod, and we'll make ourselves a Predacon. And in this case, it was different because normally it was like a fight, for survival. Like, we have to get to this stasis pod, and the stasis pod crashed. So, that's what happened with Tigatron. The pod crashed. I don't remember at all how they did the Black Arachnia thing. I feel like hers may have been okay. I think it still crashed, but I think all of them crashed. Especially for Air Razor, hers was like very last minute. She barely survived. But this was like the perfect landing. It came down. It had like the jet propulsion, and it landed perfectly safe, and everything was fine with it. And when they got there, it was like, oh, everything's still intact. All I have to do is switch out this little chip, which is something they did for Air Razor's episode with Rhinox, where it's like, I have to take this chip out because the maximal part is damaged, so he had to use Cheetor's thing. And that's all he has to do. He takes the maximal chip out, puts the Predacon chip in, and it's like, boom, that's it, we're good. And so it's like, oh, everything's in order. And he lifts up this cage because his plan was to basically make another Black Arachnian because he was using a Black Widow again. And it was like, all right, the scanning sequence is activated. And they did already scan before they got there, but I forgot. I think it was because the chip was damaged. It couldn't complete the process. And so as soon as he replaced it, it was like, all right, scanning complete. And he was like, he was super mad. He's like, what just happened? And it was because it scanned these fire ants, which, once again, they do this every episode. There's like no mystery to it. It's like, oh, look, there's a tiger, or there's an eagle, or there's a Black Widow. Every time a new Maximal is coming in, they show whatever creature is going to be, in an opening, one of the opening scenes. So like when it was safely landing on the ground, there were a bunch of fire ants going into an anthill. I thought they were beetles at first because it was so close up, and I wasn't like looking right at them. I was like, oh, it was like some beetles or whatever. And then when he came out, he was an ant, and I was like, oh, I totally missed that. It wasn't a bunch of beetles; it was a bunch of ants. And it was really funny. Like, he came out in ant form, and I was like, I don't remember this Transformer at all. And as soon as he transformed, and I saw his face, I was like, I remember him perfectly now because he has like the craziest jaws for a face, and they have a couple of other characters have that too, but he just has like a really evil looking face, and I guess it stuck out in my head. I was like, man, as soon as he transformed, I was like, I remember him now, and he's ginormous, like he's a giant freaking ant in its own right. And then when he transforms into like, I guess it still is maximized for him even though he's a Predacon. He's so freaking huge, and he still has the thorax, I think it's called, is the back piece of an ant, and he can fly. So they have another flyer, and he's got like, he can open it up into 4 components, and it's like a propeller. Plus, he has a jet in that thing, so he can fly super fast, and he's insanely powerful. And when he comes out, he's kind of messed up, and he's not more maximal, but he's more ant than he is transformer, because he has like his beast mode or insect mode is kind of overtaking the normal transformer part of his brain. So he believes that his stasis pod is like the hive or like the queen, basically. So he feels, because the first people that show up are actually Tarantulas and Black Arachnia, and they show up there first. But they do have a scene early on where Tigatron actually sees the stasis pod, but because all the communications are knocked out, he has to go on his own. So they do actually end up showing, getting there first, and Inferno instantly attacks them because he assumes that they're attacking his stasis pod. So he starts shooting at them, and it just gets really crazy from then because he's just super strong. And it's like, we got to deal with this guy, and then Tigatron comes in. Air Razor comes in. They had a lot of them pairing up in these last couple episodes. So they have to deal with them. He shoots Air Razor down, so she gets knocked out. Tigatron gets beat up. And while they're knocked out, Black Arachnia is like, alright, we'll figure this out. I'll talk to him, calm him down, get him on our side. And Tarantulas actually has a secret plan because it turns out that he had no interest whatsoever in getting the Predacon. It would have helped him, but that wasn't really his plan. His main plan was to take the stasis pod because he wants to make a ship to escape the planet for himself, actually. So it goes through. He finds out that, or Black Arachnia, while talking to Inferno, realizes that Tarantulas stole the stasis pod, so Inferno is going after him. And she's like, so that was his mission the whole time, but why did he need the stasis pod? And he gets busted going back to the Predacon base because he's trying to get to his little hideout, but Scorponok sees him basically through like a telescope, and he tells Megatron what's happening, and Megatron tells Scorponok, get this thing, I want the stasis pod immediately. And then there's another big clash because Inferno finds Tarantulas, and he gets beat actually because Tarantulas hits him with a web and just sticks him against the wall. And as soon as Scorponok comes down and busts him like, hey, Megatron wants this right now, Inferno breaks out because he can eat through it with his pincers on the front, so he can break out, and then he transforms, breaks the whole thing off, destroys pretty much both of them. Once again, Scorponok, I don't know what the deal is with his character, but he keeps getting his head crushed, and they do like the 2D thing where it gets flattened. So he got crushed again. He got knocked out. Pretty much everyone just got beat up, and then Optimus and the Maximals came in. Optimus destroyed the stasis pod with one of his missiles, so that blew up. Everything kind of just fell apart. Everybody got beat up. Inferno got literally blown to pieces in this episode. Like, once they blew up the stasis pod, Optimus shot a missile at Inferno. He got blown to pieces. They beat up Megatron. They beat up the rest of the Predacons, and then they took off. And it's like, we lost, so we got our butts whooped. I'm pissed off at Tarantulas. Kind of mad at Black Arachnia because once again they're both spiders. They're both trying to trick me. And he wanted Inferno put back together, so he's still in the series. But it was just really crazy. And then they go to the end of the episode where Tarantulas is super pissed off that his entire mission failed. He didn't even get the second part of the mission that he wanted. He couldn't make his own Predacon, so that failed. The stasis pod failed, and then Black Arachnia, who was mad that she joined up with him, was asking why he needed the stasis pod to begin with, and he mentions that the planet is doomed. He wants to get rid of. Well, he doesn't want to get rid of the planet. He wants to get off of the planet because if his calculations are correct, which I would assume they are, especially because they kind of make a point of that in the beginning of the episode with the stasis pod. The planet is going to be doomed at some point, and he's freaking out because he doesn't want to die. He's like, I have to get off this planet, and that's why I needed the stasis pod. So they talk about still kind of teaming up, and of course they do the little thing where the characters go their separate ways, but they each say something under their breath. So Black Arachnia decides that she'll still work with Tarantulas, even though he's insane, but she kind of doesn't want to lose either. And he calls her a witch under his breath, and then he does like the weird maniacal laugh thing where he just laughs like crazy even though his plan failed. I didn't really get why he was laughing like that, but I guess it's like, I have her working with me, so it's still a greater chance for me to get off this planet before it's destroyed. So maybe that's why he was still laughing maniacally. But technically everything fell apart, but Inferno was super freaking cool in this episode. The Maximals, like I said, they come in at the end, so everyone was fine. They got beat up, but Tigatron and Air Razor survived. Everything was fine. I was a little worried that they'd die, because I don't remember a lot of the show, so I don't know who does live and who doesn't. But Inferno was like insanely tough in this episode. Like he's like stomping people on the ground, and he have like their blaster on him, and then someone would randomly come out and save him. So Tigatron got messed up. Air Razor, I think she only got hit like once, but it was such a powerful blast it took her out. So it was kind of crazy. And then Tigatron kind of went in at the end, and he almost died for sure at the end. He was super close because they have the crazy battle with Inferno fighting them, and then Tigatron comes in to fight them as well. And he's the one who destroyed the stasis pod. It wasn't Optimus. I have my scenes kind of mixed up. And after that happens, because the whole thing with Inferno being like, oh, the stasis pod is the queen and the stasis pod is royalty, Megatron is like, he's the one who destroyed him, so you can kill him. And he just got shot up. Like, Tarantulas had, like, the machine gun legs thing, so he was all messed up. And then Inferno was about to destroy him, and that's when Optimus came in and literally blew him to pieces. But it was definitely a cool episode. Love Inferno. It's probably my favorite one because it was just crazy. He's so freaking tough, but also a really cool design. Like, it's creepy in ant form because giant ants just kind of look creepy. But when he transforms, and he's probably, I think Megatron is the biggest out of all the characters, and then it might be Inferno right after, and then I think Dinobot is probably the third tallest one, and I think after that might be Rhinox, actually. So, the Predacons tend to be really tall, but it was really interesting. I was like, I love this new character. I just like what they did with him. It was really cool. It was, oddly enough, with him being the new Transformer, it really was a bigger focus on Tarantulas. That was kind of the biggest focus of the episode, was his plan in Black Arachne and, like, their scheme. And it was called Spider's Game, so that was kind of to be expected. But it was kind of weird. It's like, man, he's the new character, but not a real focus on him. And I guess that makes sense. Technically, it wasn't like that for the other characters either, but he was actually in the whole episode. Like, it was always like the big battle, and then the new Transformer finally gets revealed by the end of the episode at like the last second. But for him, he was actually in more than half the episode, I would have to say, or really close to, more than half, if not like completely half the episode. So he was definitely in it more than the others, where they come in at like the last second. Like Tigatron was in the last 5 minutes of the episode, I think. Air Razor may have been in a bit more, and I think Black Arachnia may have actually been in like the whole episode when she first showed up too. But it was definitely a fun one. I really enjoyed it, and I kind of can't wait to see what they do with this character, because he was just so tough. And once they kind of get past the animal instinct side, kind of taking over his character, I'm excited to see exactly where they go with it, because he was really cool when he first showed up, and his gun is actually really sweet too, which is something I don't really notice too often, but his gun just looked really cool. And it was just a fun episode, fun new character, so I'm excited to see how they do it. Got the little clue, like the Earth is doomed. I'm pretty sure this has to be Earth because of some of the stuff I remember. Unless they move to Earth, which would be interesting, but I'm pretty sure they're on Earth, just really, super long time ago. But excited to see where they take that with the Earth being doomed and all that stuff. But definitely a really cool episode. Like I said, awesome new character. Didn't think I'd like it so much, but seeing it again for the first time, I guess, it was actually really cool. I was like, man, that was just a really cool introduction. Super powerful. Seems really strong. I mean, he has like a cannon for a gun. Like, everyone else seems to have like, all their guns kind of look like machine guns and stuff, but his looks like it'll shoot a rocket at you every single time almost. And like, his gun just looks more powerful than everyone else's. But this is a cool new character, so I'm really excited to see what they do with it. Overall, it was still an interesting episode and a great cliffhanger to kind of touch on. I'm sure it won't happen until like way down the line, like maybe towards the end of this season, maybe closer, or sometime in season 2. But the planet is meant to be doomed, so we'll see how that plays out. But enjoyed it. Of course, if you guys have any comments, please put them down in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.